You're watching BionicDance. Don't run on automatic, instead, please think.
One thing religious people don't quite seem to understand is that it's not that we haven't tried. It's not that we don't understand. Most of us have either been religious or have tried to be religious, and it failed, completely and utterly. Let's do this.
This is Carter Conlon from Times Square Church in New York City.
Now, if you really didn't believe that God existed, why spend so much time trying to prove He doesn't exist? Could it be possible that you have some doubts in your heart?
Actually, pal, the main reason most of us spend a lot of time trying to prove God doesn't exist is so that you'll stop fucking with us. Is so that you'll get off our backs. You see, you won't listen to reason. You won't listen to us saying, hey, knock it off. So if we can show you that you're wrong, maybe then you'll actually knock it the hell off. It's not that we have doubt in our hearts. I mean, okay, first of all, we think with our brain, not our heart. Our heart pumps blood. But even above and beyond that, okay, it's not that we have doubts. I mean, yeah, we have what reasonable doubt anyone has about anything in the world. I mean, you know, any conclusion we might reach, there's always a chance we've misinterpreted the data. And so, you know, if you're doing it intelligently, you'll hold out that possibility that maybe I'm wrong and with new data I'll change my mind or at least re-examine my position. Sure. But it's not that. No. It's that religious people are kind of being jerks. I mean, I'm sorry, I know that probably doesn't make you want to listen to anything else I have to say, but between trying to ban things like gay marriage, trying to force your religion on us, blocking stem cell research, all of that kind of stuff, taking your religious convictions and trying to make us conform to them, is something most of us don't really appreciate. So no, the main reason we argue against religion is to try to convince you that it's bull, so that you'll back the hell off.
I want to issue a challenge to every atheist in New York City.
I'm in Seattle, but I'm going to take this challenge anyway.
If you don't believe in the existence of God, why don't you respond to my challenge and just simply take a moment, close your eyes, go into a secret place, and begin to pray. I think you might be amazed at what is going to happen to you.
Do you seriously think I haven't tried that? Really? I'm a critical thinker. I want to make sure that I'm examining the world on its terms, not just what's in my own head, but what I can spot in the world around me. And as such, I've tried to pray. I've tried it. I've tried religion. It got me nowhere. Seriously, I've tried to pray, and all that happened was I spoke to myself in my own head. Now, don't you think if your God is as all-knowing and as all-loving as you claim He is, that He would realize, hey, Kate's not gonna get what people get out of praying. It's just not going to have that effect. Don't you think that a caring God would want to provide me with the kind of information that I would need to make intelligent choices? Don't you think that if I wouldn't respond to prayer, to the kind of response that apparently you think is so enlightening, that your God would go, maybe I'd better do a better job, because I genuinely care about people? Don't you think that's the way it would go? But apparently not. According to almost every religion I've ever heard of, if you don't do everything God's way, well, you're the bad person. But every religion I've ever heard of also sounds to me rather like a con game. I mean, even if the priests and preachers and bishops or whatever are not in on the prank, are not in on the con, even if they genuinely believe what they're doing, they're still basically running a con game. Because we're supposed to believe without evidence. We're supposed to believe without proof. And I'm not about to do that. You know, if religion wants me to be on its side, if your God genuinely cared about me, then your God would provide me with the kind of evidence I needed to make an intelligent, rational decision, rather than expecting me to go on faith.
This text, it says that all that you see and experience just means this, that you're without excuse before God. That's all it means. The things that you see can never save you, okay? They can't prove to you, okay? And they can't give you eternal life. They can't give you eternal salvation. That comes not from knowledge, but that comes from faith in God. See, there's such a difference. A lot of people are saying, prove it to me. Friends, here's the thing. Salvation doesn't come by proof. It comes by faith.
But don't you see, that's precisely the problem. This expectation of faith, this denial of proof, this complete lack of evidence, and yet we're still supposed to believe. That's con man stuff. That's what tricksters do. I mean, if we're not allowed to see the actual product, if we're not allowed to have proof and evidence, then why should we believe any of it? I mean, let's leave aside the whole point where I don't think any of it's true. The fact is that every religion demands this kind of faith of us. I mean, even just within Christianity, there's how many denominations? Baptist, Methodist, Lutheran, blah, 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 Catholic, all of those. How am I supposed to pick the right one without some facts to go by? Oh, it's all faith, is it? Well, what kind of all-loving God doesn't provide us with enough information to make an intelligent, correct choice? And that's leaving aside whether or not any religion is true, which I don't buy at this time. So, seriously, dude, you're going to say, oh, yeah, you have to believe on faith? Well, that's precisely the problem.
You know, faith in God and trust in God and walking with Him over years. That's why a person could allow themselves to be martyred back in the day during the Dark Ages. And all they had to do was renounce Jesus Christ, but they wouldn't. Why? Why wouldn't they just say a few words? Because they were so sure. They had walked with their Lord for so long, and they heard His voice, and the proof was within themselves.
So what? People behaving like complete chowder monkeys is supposed to impress me? I mean, come on. These people were holding on to a conviction for no good reason. I mean, okay, you say they walked with their Lord for so long, so they were emotionally invested. Big deal. They still didn't have facts and evidence to back up their case. They were doing what I tell people not to do. They were running on automatic instead of thinking. But let's put it this way. Until somebody can conclusively put this whole thing to rest by either showing that God does exist or showing that God doesn't exist, I'm going to continue to not believe. I'm not actively disbelieving necessarily. Well, I kind of am a little, because let's face it, a lot of religions actually do make claims that are not backed up by the evidence, that are in fact contradicted by the evidence. But the fact is that I do hold out a tiny portion of myself that's willing to consider whether or not a religion is true, provided the evidence is there, provided you take faith and say, screw this, let's replace it with facts. That's the only way any religion will ever capture me, will ever get me to admit that it's true. And that doesn't mean I'll be actually on that religion's side. It just means that I will believe in its truth. I may well still fight against that religion. Regardless, point being, you want me to believe that you're right? You're going to have to replace faith with facts. Until next time, folks, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think. Please take the time to rate this video. And hey, if you dig what I do, subscribe. And please visit my Zazzle store, where you'll find all kinds of BionicDance merchandise. Ignorance killed the cat. Curiosity was framed.